Hello and welcome to Low Budget Gaming and welcome to some new lows on Steam during the middle of the week here. So a lot of games that have hit new highest discounts. So we start off first with Steelrising. So Steelrising is basically a Souls-like game. This is made by Spiders, the people behind Greedfall and the Technomancer, for example. And their games are usually RPG games, but they went with a Souls-like theme with this one. So this is set during an alternate French Revolution in 1789. Louis XVI has a mechanical army, and you play as Aegis, a mysterious automaton, like a very advanced automaton. And this automaton needs to stand and confront the king's army alone to save history. So interesting looking game, interesting time period here. Spiders is a French studio, so it makes sense they are making something around the French Revolution. And the reviews here are decent at 73% over on Steam. The price is also reasonable here. So yeah, I haven't played this one. I've played their RPGs, like I said, but it does look very interesting if you're a fan of this one, this genre, I guess. And the price is quite reasonable. So 65% off here, $1749, 412 in India, 1224 in the UK, and 1994 in Canada. Next up is a game called Soulstice. Now, despite it having the word soul in it, this is not a Souls-like game. This is more of an action-adventure hack and slash spectacle fighter, so something similar to DMC, for example. So it says here, explore a dark world brimming with hidden mysteries, master a diverse combat system, and inhabit the dual forces of two sisters in a coming-of-age dark fantasy story with fast-paced action, vicious enemies, and spectacular boss fights. So a slightly different style of game than what I was expecting after seeing some gameplay videos. It has a sort of unusual camera basically. So when you fight it's different, but when you're sort of moving around it's more of a fixed camera, if that makes sense. And the reviews are decent here at 75% on Steam. I have seen this game in a couple of bundles on Humble and Fanatical, etc. But now this is on a new low on Steam at 55% off. So this is $1799, 404 in India, 1574 in the UK, and 2047 in Canada. Next is Clash Artifacts of Chaos. So this game just looks very different to a lot of other games. The art style and the colors, just the world they have created here is very interesting looking, and that's part of the main reason I like the look of this game. So it says here, hunted by mercenaries of an enemy with untold power, the fighter Pseudo and the creature under his protection begin a perilous quest to the edges of the strange land. This has overwhelmingly positive reviews on Steam. So yeah, it must be really good. It came out in March of 23. Haven't heard too much about this game, at least in the mainstream, but it just looks quite interesting. So 60% off here for this one, 520 in India, $12, £10, and 15.59 in Canada. Next is The Pale Beyond. So I have picked it up recently, this game, and this is basically a survival resource management type of thing. So in the story here in the game, there was a ship that went in search of the magnetic South Pole, and that ship disappeared, whatever happened, and you are basically like a follow-up ship going in search of that, trying to find out what happened, and you run into your own problems. So the captain is missing, you're miles from civilization, resources are running low, and you have to manage the morale of the crew, make sure everybody's fed and warm, the sled dogs are looked after, things like that. So difficult choices, that sort of thing. And I like these style of survival games. I guess you could say something like Frostpunk could be considered similar, although that is a different genre of game, if that makes sense. But yeah, you could check this out. It's got very positive reviews, 86% on Steam. Also has a demo available, and it is on a 50% sale, which is once again on a new low. So $10, $9.99, and 440 in India, 837 in the UK, and 13 in Canada. Next, we have a game called Martha is Dead. So Martha is Dead is a dark first-person psychological thriller set in 1944 Italy that blurs the lines between reality, superstition, and tragedy of war. So this is a psychological horror style game, but I feel like I've played a lot of games similar to this, where they're basically exploration style games with some mysterious stories. A lot of the games that are like 4 to 5 hours long, at least in my experience, and they're set in an unusual location. You explore, you read notes, things like that. So I feel like I've played a lot of games like this, but this one has very positive reviews. Everybody's liking it, so it would be worth a try. It's also quite reasonably priced. So this is 50% off, $14.99, $3.50 in India, $12.49 in the UK, and $16.99 in Canada. Next, we have a game called Star Renegades. So this is a game I tried a little bit via the Game Pass. I'm not sure if it's still available on the Game Pass, but it might be. So Star Renegades is a dimension-spanning roguelite strategy RPG. Outsmart uniquely generated adversaries, forge bonds between heroes, and end the cycle. So a pixel art turn-based roguelite game. It looks very good. The graphics are really nice, and I've seen some great reviews for this one. If you're a fan of the old school turn-based RPGs or JRPGs, I guess, you should enjoy this one. And this is also one of the cheaper games here, 80% off, only $4.99, $220 in India, $6.50 in Canada, $4.19 in the UK, and $4.99 in the Eurozone. Next, we have a cozy, sort of wholesome, relaxing adventure game. This is Garden Story. So you play as a grape, and you forage for resources, combat the invasive rot, and restore the community. Relax and enjoy the fruits of your labor in this charming action RPG. So yeah, if you like games like Stardew Valley, I suppose, and other similar relaxing pixel art games, you should like this one. It looks quite relaxing and chill. And this is also another very cheap game. This is 75% off, $132 in India, $4.99, £387, and $5.69 in Canada. Next, we have Terminator Resistance. So I've seen this game for a few years now, but I've never picked it up simply because the regional price was never good enough for me. Reviews are very positive here on Steam at 90%. And this is set in the future war scenario where the stuff you see in the flashbacks in the Terminator movies, I guess. And yeah, it looks pretty interesting. The environment, the settings looks very 80s to me. Reminds me of RoboCop a lot. The thing I wanted to mention is if you read some of the reviews, while most of them are very positive, a few of them are very critical about the AI and things like difficulty and things like that. So maybe have a read through the reviews if you are interested. But this could be a good game for like a good FPS campaign style game. So yeah, I mean, most people are okay with this, so more than okay with this at 90%, so must be a decent game. Again, the regional price is still not good enough in my opinion for a game that's been out for 5 years. So yeah, I'll probably wait a little more. I would like a little more discount, but it is 65% off, $630 in India, $13.99, and $12.24 in the UK, and $17.40 in Canada. Next, we have a Sherlock Holmes game, and this is Sherlock Holmes: The Awakened. So experience a nerve-wracking Lovecraftian adventure rebuilt from the ground up with modern graphics and gameplay. Become Sherlock Holmes and find yourself at the heart of the terrifying Cthulhu mythos as you investigate a series of mysterious disappearances in Europe and the US. Now, I've not played a lot of Sherlock Holmes games, in fact, maybe one or two here and there. But based on what it says here, it seems like it's a remake or something. It's made by Frogwares, the people behind games like The Sinking City, so they seem to make a lot of games within the Lovecraftian setting, I guess. So it's a detective game. Came out in April of 23, so not an old game here. And this is now 60% off, $15.99 in the US, $919 in India. So the regional price isn't great here, unfortunately. $23.19 in Canada and $15.99 in the Eurozone. And then finally, we have Marvel's Midnight Suns. So this was in a humble choice bundle, I think last month, but it is available here. This is basically a strategy game within the Marvel's settings. So turn-based tactics, deck building. So yeah, you have all your heroes, you play as them. It looks interesting. Again, people who like turn-based games and you wanted something within the Marvel setting, I think you should like this. I'm not sure what to make of this because normally you have action games within the superhero genre, so a turn-based game I guess if you are a fan of XCOM, you would love this, and if you are a fan of Marvel. But I don't know how well it has done overall. Reviews are very positive, again 80%, so I don't know if any of you have played this and what your thoughts are. But this is available on a 75% sale here. $14.99, $8.49 in India, $12.49 in the UK, and $20 in Canada. So yeah, that's it for this one. Thank you for watching. See you next time.